Today we're diving into a world of fabric, fashion, and fine art. More than just clothing, dresses and paintings are powerful storytellers. They whisper secrets about power, personality, culture, and sometimes rebellion. From medieval Madonnas to modern icons, we're exploring how artists have painted dresses that do way more than just look good. By the way, this channel is still small and I'm trying to share a variety of content about iconography and art in general. So if you want to support the channel and to get notified about new videos, you know what to do. Let's start at the beginning, or at least at the 15th century. And let's begin with a birth, that of Venus. In Botticelli's painting, the young woman awaiting the goddess represents one of the Horae, goddesses of the seasons. She wears a light flower-strewn dress symbolizing spring and the renewal of life. The flowing drapery of her gown evokes classical antiquity reminiscent of ancient Greek and Roman sculptures and artworks. The patterns and colors of the dress are never random. Blue, when worn by the Virgin Mary, symbolizes purity, while red in royal portraits evokes power. In Madonna of the Rose Bower by Stefan Lochner, Mary's robe is a rich blue, a color more expensive than gold at the time. It's a visual shorthand for purity and divinity, and also, let's be real, for big-budget commissions. Jump to Leonardo da Vinci's Lady with an Ermine. The lady is Cecilia Garrani, a young noblewoman from the Milanese court, and the mistress of Ludovico Sforza, Duke of Milan, who was also Leonardo's patron. She's not wearing jewelry or a crown, but her dress is telling us everything we need to know. She's part of the elite, educated, and very much in style. Her gown is sleek and elegant, with a square neckline and tight-fitting sleeves, which were all the rage in the late 15th century Lombardy. The fabric looks refined, likely velvet or silk, very fashionable for a Milanese court lady. And then there is the ermine, much more than just a cute furry accessory. This is a symbol of purity, but also a clever reference to Ludovico, whose nickname was the White Ermine. So yes, this is a fashion statement, but also a nod to her status, her relationship, and the game of power happening behind the scenes. In many periods, painters used dresses to reflect the subject's wealth and social status, often exaggerating details and luxurious fabrics. Power dressing, Renaissance style. Bronzino's portraits of Lucrezia Pontiacchi and Eleanor of Toledo are masterpieces of mannerist portraiture. In the portrait of Lucrezia, Bronzino represents her with a composed demeanor, holding a book of hours, indicating her piety. Her attire is richly detailed, featuring a golden necklace with the inscription "Love Endures Without End," reflecting her elite status and the cultural values of the time. Conversely, the portrait of Eleanor with her son Giovanni portrays her in an opulent brocaded gown, symbolizing her wealth and the Spanish textiles included in her dowry. The inclusion of her son signifies the continuity of the Medici lineage, while the luxurious attire and composed posture emphasize her role as a powerful and dignified figure in Florentine society. And in the British school portrait of Helena Snackenburg, the embroidery and stiff silhouette tell us that she was someone at the court. The red and white roses embroidered on her sleeves and pinned on her cap form the Tudor rose, symbolizing loyalty to Queen Elizabeth I. Fast forward to the 1600s, court fashion goes next level. Portraits of queens showcase lavish gowns to reinforce their power and public image. Franz Probus the Younger paints Maria de Medici and Elizabeth of France in intricate gowns with stiff colors and heavy brocade. They aren't just dresses, they are royal armor, and this is political propaganda. Rubens, always extra, paints Charlotte Marguerite de Montmorency with glowing skin and opulent fabrics. The same decade, Juan Carreño de Miranda gives us Inés de Zúñiga, swaddled in lace and velvet like a Spanish Baroque dream. And then comes the 18th century and things get fancy. Marie Antoinette with a Rose by Elisabeth Vigée-Lebrun is iconic, especially because in its first version, she was wearing a simple white muslin dress. At the time, this caused scandal because it looked like a nightgown, too relaxed for a queen. Vichy Lebrun quickly replaced it by a version more in line with the expectation of the time, in which the queen is dressed in a more formal and sophisticated gown. Compare that with portraits of Madame de Pompadour or Madame Bergeret by François Boucher. Pastel tones, cascading ruffles, silk for days, and intricate details such as lace, ribbons, or floral embroidery, reflecting the fashion of the French aristocracy in the 18th century. Rococo excess at its finest. And then Fragonard's The Swing, not a real portrait but pure fantasy. The young woman's pink gown flares mid-air, full of mischief and flirtation. The dress is no less beautiful, and once again reflects the typical extravagance of the Rococo style. Painted dresses follow the evolution of fashion. In the 19th century, fashion in painting becomes more emotional and personal. Queen Charlotte, painted by Gainsborough, wears a formal gown softened by his signature, breezy brushwork. In Goya's Countess of Chinchon, the dress is understated, but her expression is haunting. The painting conveys a sense of tenderness, emphasizing the subtlety and fragility in Goya's brushwork and the warmth of the color palettes. In Robert Lefebvre's Empress Josephine, Josephine is portrayed in a refined neoclassical style of the Empire era. Her gown is high-waisted, flowing, and inspired by ancient Romantics. Françoise Gérard-Marie Lesinska depicts the queen in the full royal regalia. Her richly embroidered gown, heavy with gold details and sumptuous fabrics, emphasizes her status. Now I ask you, how could we talk about dresses without mentioning Winterhalter's stunning gowns? The painter takes glamour to new heights with portraits of Empress Eugénie, Princess Leonia, and of course the iconic portrait of Sisi. Their gowns are almost weightless, the brushstroke is so fluid they seem to shimmer. And then comes Ingres, the master of precision. In Madame de Moitessier, Ingres shows his mastery by rendering the lace with striking realism and meticulous detail. In the seated version of the portrait, the patterns are so detailed that they almost outshine the sitter herself. His rendering of deep blue satin in the portrait of Princess de Broglie is equally remarkable. Light reflects off every fold of the fabric. Still in the neoclassical style, let's also mention the magnificent portrait of Amalia de Llano by Federico de Madrazo. In this portrait too, the elegant gown is painted with such precision that you can almost feel the texture of the fabric. And even more opulence can be seen in the Federico de Madrazo portrait of Isabel II as Countess of Barcelona. The layers of luxurious fabric and intricate embroidery highlight her royal stature. In contrast, Pre-Raphaelite John Everett Millet's Mariana is frozen in a deep blue gown, trapped in a Gothic dream. Waterhouse Ladies of Charlotte follows the same vibe. Long flowing gowns, trapped women, medieval drama. But Impressionism flips the script. Monet's Women in the Garden is all about light. The dresses blend into the landscape. Monet captures the lightness and transparency of the dresses by playing with color and light, creating a sense of immediacy. Renoir does it too. In La Promenade, the flowing dresses become part of the movement. In the theater box, Renoir captures women in elegant but casual moments, reflecting how fashion was evolving from formal stiffness to a more relaxed, leisurely expression. In Spain, the realist painter Raimundo de Madrazo y Garreta, son of Federico Madrazo, whom we mentioned earlier, painted numerous portraits of women dressed in stunning ultra-feminine gowns. These are lavish gowns, but they are more relaxed compared to the formal stiffness of earlier depictions. In The Masqueraders, Madrazo brings a playful twist, showcasing women in colorful costumes at the masquerade, highlighting fashion as an expression of fun and freedom. Madame Monet in a Japanese kimono takes it a step further, blending Eastern influences with Western fashion, reflecting the growing cultural exchange of the time. Indeed, this period marked by the opening of Japan to the West in the mid-19th century gave rise to Japonism, where Western artists inspired by Japanese art and aesthetics incorporated elements such as Oriental patterns, asymmetry, and the use of vibrant color in their works. In another style, works like Sargent One's show how a dress can be an element of seduction and of scandal. Among many beautiful works, including several portraits of women depicted in sumptuous gowns, the portrait of Madame X is undoubtedly the most iconic. It features Virginie Amélie Avignon-Goudreau in a sleek black gown. Originally, one of the gown straps was depicted as falling off her shoulder, which was considered scandalous by the standard of the time, suggesting an air of decadence and sexual availability. In response to the public outcry, Sargent repainted the straps to rest properly on her shoulder, but the damage to both Goudreau's reputation and Sargent's career was already done. Around the same time in Victorian England, Frederick Leighton painted Flaming June, a landmark of aesthetic movement. The painting shows a sleeping woman in a sheer orange gown embodying the ideal of her art for art's sake, with no clear narrative. And the 20th century, everything changes. Active at the turn of the century, Alphonse Mucha, a key figure of the Art Nouveau movement, was deeply influenced by actress Sarah Bernard, for whom he created some of his most iconic posters. He drew the dresses of his female figures through fluid ornamental drapery with an almost mystical quality. His creations blend classical elegance, floral motifs, and swirling patterns, turning each gown into a decorative work of art. And then comes Klimt. His portrait of Adelbloch Bauer, also known as the Lady in Gold, is part dress, part gold mosaic. The fabric becomes abstract, symbolic, and luxurious. This fusion of figure and decoration exemplifies Klimt's golden style, integrating elements of Byzantine, Egyptian, and Greek art. Herman Anglada Camarassa's Woman from Granada features a woman in a richly patterned purple dress adorned with vivid orange, yellow, and deep blue flowers. This work perfectly reflects Anglada Camarassa's interest in Spanish folklore and his exposure to the aesthetics of Diaghilev Russian ballets during his time in Paris. This influenced the development of his decorative style. Tamara de Lempicka paints women like Art Deco goddesses, sculptural, stylish, powerful. In her Young Girl in Green, the folds of the dress are almost like chrome. It's interesting to note how artistic movement influenced dresses. The flowing drapery of dresses in Botticelli's painting evoked antiquity. The geometric shapes of Klimt dresses recalled Art Nouveau, and here Tamara de Lempicka dresses her model in sculptural Art Deco gowns. Orthodix captures the fashion of the 1920s Germany in its triptych metropolis. This artwork is part of the New Objectivity movement, a style that followed Expressionism and focused on more realistic, often harsh and critical portrayal of society, especially in the aftermath of World War I. As for fashion, we can clearly see that dresses, like hairstyles, got shorter during the interwar period. Meanwhile, artists like Matisse start playing with bold color and form. The dress becomes less about realism and more about mood, message, and modernity. Around this time, fashion itself evolves too. Silhouette loosen, corsets disappear, and patterns become more abstract. By the 1960s, depictions of dresses in painting become less common as the art world shifted toward abstraction and new forms of expression. Of course, there have always been figurative artists, but from that period onward they focused on other topics, such as social themes. Additionally, the rise of photography and fashion illustration as primary mediums for showcasing clothing contributed to the decline of dress representation in painting. However, some contemporary artists still offer us beautiful representations. Artists like Kehinde Wiley and Amy Sherald reinterpret historical portraiture. In Princess Victoire of Saxe-Coburg-Gotha, Wiley recreates the pose and fashion of a Waterhouse painting, but his subject is black, powerful, and modern. Amy Sherald's Michelle Obama wears a gown that's geometric, contemporary, and striking. The bold, graphic patterns of the dress reflect Sherald's distinctive style, blending elements of realism with abstraction and echoing the power and modernity of the former First Lady. In the end, these dresses tell us more than just fashion trends, they reveal power, individuality, and history. Whether they conceal or highlight, each dress carries a deeper meaning. If you enjoyed this exploration of art and fashion, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know in the comments which painting had your favorite dress. Thanks for watching!